But thank you for this award. It means so much to me because Judge Harris Agnew was an innovative leader on the bench and at RSI in promoting access to justice through the use of ADR in our courts. This award gives me the opportunity to thank my family, the people who made the award possible, and those who mentored me and were role models to me throughout my career as a lawyer, judge, and mediator. It also gives me an opportunity to tell you about my personal story and my professional, both in my professional life, and to emphasize the important role our profession and RSI play in providing equal access to justice in our courts. I was going to start with a long list of thank yous, but that's been taken care of. But I have to thank my family. I want to thank my wife, Reva, the love of my life. They've been with me and supporting me through every stage of my career and my family. I also want to thank my 4 adult children and my 8 grandchildren who are represented tonight by my youngest son, Michael, and my oldest granddaughter, Jaden. I want to thank the board for giving me this award. Brian Roach was a former law partner of mine, and I convinced him to take on this job, and he has done a great job ever since.
I said I was going to stay for 1 year.
I want to thank the RSI staff, and a special thanks to Susan Yates. We worked together for so long, and Kent Lawrence, without whom RSI would not exist.
Amen.
I want to thank James for hosting this event. James has always been committed to helping nonprofits in a whole variety of ways. And I'm so proud to be part of this team because we're a collegial team. We share a lot. So now I want to tell you a little bit about how I got here. I want to thank America for welcoming my parents, a young brother and me, to this country in 1949. My parents were Polish Jewish Holocaust survivors. My mother was 14, and my dad was 26 when the Nazis invaded Poland in 1939. Their parents and most of their siblings were killed in the war. And my parents met in a displaced persons camp outside of Munich in 1946. They had their first 2 kids there, including me. Our family immigrated to St. Louis, sponsored by an aunt who had left Germany before the war, left Poland before the war, and they sponsored us to come to St. Louis. Where they came to St. Louis. My parents became naturalized citizens in 1955. And that's why, as a magistrate judge, the best experience I ever had was conducting those naturalization ceremonies and being able to tell those new citizens a little bit about myself and my family. My parents raised 6 kids, 5 sons and 1 daughter. I was the oldest. They were tailors and ran a tailor shop in St. Louis. My dad passed away when I was 23, and my mom took over the tailor shop. Fortunately for my family back then, America welcomed immigrants fleeing the ravages of war provided my family with freedom, liberty, and opportunity. The memory of my family, my parents, inspires me every day in both my personal life and my professional life. I was fortunate to go to a Jewish day school through 9th grade when I had my first court appearance. Our class took a trip to the United States Supreme Court, where we entered the building with the inscription, "Equal justice under law." And to my great surprise, and the surprise of my fellow students, we were ushered into the chambers of Chief Justice Earl Warren. We sat with him. He talked to us about the law, about the justice system. I looked around the chambers. I said, "This seems like it'd be a cool job." I went back, I wrote a term paper on him, and I decided that I was going to go to law school, become a lawyer. I attended a wonderful public high school and earned a scholarship to Washington University. I was a commuter living at home with my family, and I met Reva during freshman orientation. A friend and I were walking the campus. There were these two girls in front of us, and I used my best pickup line. "Hey, girls." It worked. We learned we both came from large families, had a lot in common, and we were married after our junior year in college. 56 years later, we're still going strong. With all the nice things that you said about me, that were said about me, I want you to know that when I get home, the first words from Reva is, "Be sure you take out the garbage and the recycling." That pin pops any bubble that I might have ever had. She keeps me on the straight and narrow. We moved to Chicago, where Reva worked as a teacher, and she put me through law school. I spent 24 years doing complex commercial litigation and class actions. During that time, I was privileged to have a number of great mentors and role models who were not only outstanding lawyers, but who also taught me the importance of pro bono and public service. A few of them include Bob Gettleman, who hired me in my first job. He saw me in a moot court competition at Northwestern, invited me in, and I got a job at that firm. And he spent a lot of time working with me and helping develop me into a lawyer. When I took the federal bench, he was already a district judge, and he's always been there for me to help me. He now provides as a senior district judge. As a young lawyer, I also got to work with the late Agnew for 2 years in the law firm. Judge Mikva was a congressman, a circuit court judge, counsel to President Clinton. And the third person I want to acknowledge is Lowell Sacknoff, the late Lowell Sacknoff. Brian and I were partners in the Sacknoff firm for many years. And Lowell was known as the top class action lawyer in the city of Chicago and around the country for a long time. But he believed that the firm should do pro bono work, be involved in your community, step up where you can be needed. And he was still handling pro bono cases for Guantanamo prisoners into his late 80s. Those are the kind of people that mentored me, and a whole group of other young lawyers. In honor of law, we have a group called the Ducklings. We are his ducklings. We get together once a month to have lunch. We had lunch while he was alive, but now that he's gone, we still get together in his memory. At the same time as they were managing busy law practices, they stepped up in their roles as community leaders and perform public service. So how did I get involved in mediation? How did I get involved in mediation? In the early 90s, I appeared before Judge Sophia Hall in the Chancery Division of the Circuit Court of Cook County. We had a very hotly contested case involving two brothers who owned an old-style distributorship, beer distributorship, that handled Wrigley Field. There were 50-50 partners, and there was a dispute over the business. We were before Judge Hall to get the case set for trial. She looked at the clients, they're both in their 70s, and she said, "I don't think these guys can take it. Have you thought about mediation?" And my response was, "What is mediation?" What is mediation? She explained the process to me. She suggested that we use Professor Stephen Goldberg at Northwestern. We went and he mediated the case for us within a couple of months. I called him afterwards and I said, "Can we have lunch? How did you do that? I'd like to find out." So he suggested that I reach out to Linda Singer and Michael Lewis in DC and take their short course on mediation. I went out there, took the course. At that time I was of counsel to this Agnew firm and I was looking for something different to do. I came back and I called Bill Hartrig, who was the founding voice of mediation in the Chicago area. He was really the one who started it here in Chicago. And I said to him, I just took this course. I'd like to, take a hand at it. So he said, "I will give you a part-time position without pay to become the Director of Professional Services for the GM's End Dispute Company here in Chicago." I said, "Well, what does that mean?" "That means you go knock on law firms' doors and see if you can hustle up some business." And I did that for a little bit. And it turned out that little bit of experience in mediation propelled me to get a magistrate judge position in the court. I took the bench in '96. At that time, they were looking for judges, for lawyers who not only had good federal trial experience, but who also had some settlement experience. And since nobody knew about mediation other than me, I was fortunate to get the job. I spent 17 wonderful years as a magistrate judge before joining GM's in 2012 after I retired from the bench. But during my years as a magistrate judge, I came to appreciate the importance of mediation and access to the courts. We were, as Jerry said, we were conducting settlement conferences in 100 to 150 cases a year. I learned to love it and felt tremendous personal satisfaction in the work I was doing. I felt I had lived an important Jewish value called tikkun olam, repairing the world. And I felt that as a magistrate judge settling a case, I was repairing one relationship at a time. One relationship at a time. So trying to do my small part in repairing the world. I had colleagues who shared their wisdom with me, a fun staff. Vanessa, as was mentioned, she's so memorable. And I have three of my former law clerks here. So why don't you stand? Nobody ever, we had a great time together. While I was on the bench, I joined the RSI board because of the important work that they were doing in court ADR. Two of my most proud accomplishments as a magistrate judge were the development of the settlement database, which was already referred to, but also the establishment of a pro se settlement assistance program in the court. The pro se settlement assistance program was our way of dealing with the problem of pro se litigants who were involved in employment, civil rights, and prisoner cases. And in order to conduct a settlement conference, they didn't have lawyers. The judges who were conducting the settlement conferences felt that they were had to play two roles, trying to settle it, but also giving them advice. So we did a trial run, worked out, and then I went to the Chicago, to the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights, and pitched them on the idea of having young lawyers take on these pro bono cases simply for the purpose of conducting the settlement conferences. It turned out to be a win-win for everyone. The pro se litigants had a lawyer to help represent them. The judges were able to keep their role as judges and facilitate a resolution. Defense counsel felt that they had somebody that they can deal with in a rational way, and the cases were settled and taken off the docket. The program is still going on. It'll be 20 years old next year. I have been on the RSI board for over 20 years because I believe in the mission of strengthening access to justice in our courts for those who cannot afford counsel. I was proud to be the board chair at the time we changed our name to RSI. And during the years, I felt great pride in knowing that our foreclosure mediation programs and our eviction mediation programs were helping thousands of people stay in their house one at a time, one at a time, one at a time. And that our research, under the leadership of Jennifer Shack, has been able to take our techniques, our research, our methods, and share those around the country so that other courts can look to RSI for her wisdom, our resource center, and all the people that we can help. This award means a great deal to me because the late Judge Harris Agnew led our board from 1999 to 2011. He brought Court-Annexed ADR to Illinois. He was passionate about it because he saw the benefits in helping to reinforce the message that stands above the Supreme Court building: equal justice under law. RSI has worked hard the past 30 years to help make that message a reality throughout the country. I just finished an autobiography that I recommend to all of you by Judge David S. Tatel, entitled Vision. He is a recently retired judge, DC Circuit Judge, who served on the bench for almost 30 years. His message resonated with me, and I want to share it with you. As officers of the court, lawyers have a broader responsibility to ensure that courts work for everyone. As gatekeepers of the legal system, the profession itself has an obligation to ensure those gates are open to everyone entitled to the law's protection. RSI's mission is, has been, and will continue to be to open those gates of justice and bring access to justice through ADR system, court ADR systems in Illinois and throughout the country. I am extremely proud to accept the Harris J. Agnew Award this evening. Thank you.
So for all of you who have been so lucky to know Mort for a long time, as I understand, you don't have to know him for very long to know how much he loves baseball. So we thought, with all those commemorative balls that you have, maybe it's time for a bat.
So I started playing softball in my second year of law school with a team called the Advocates. I played on that team this past Wednesday night. I now play with my 3 sons, my 3 grandsons, and what?
Son-in-law.
And a son-in-law.
Don't forget the sons of
I
all.
can't forget the son-in-law. And I love it. And I did pitch for the judges team for 17 years. But that was already mentioned.